The room was silent except for the faint crackle of the burning incense. Tina's trembling hands hovered over the knife as the ritualist whispered dark chants into the air. "This is the final step," he said, his eyes gleaming with greed. In the dim light, Tina peered down at the girl lying unconscious before her, the face obscured by a mask. Her heart raced, her mind clouded with desperation. But just as she raised the blade, a small locket slipped from the girl's neck and fell to the floor with a clink. Tina froze. Her breath caught in her throat as the light revealed something familiar. "This is too familiar. Could it be?" she gasped, stumbling backward. "No, it can't be. What would you do if you discovered you were about to destroy the one thing you cherished the most?" In the bustling town of Ilorin, there lived a wealthy woman named Tina. Her life seemed perfect to everyone around her. She had golden jewelry, a mansion with high gates, and maids who scurried to do her bidding. But for all her riches, Tina was deeply unhappy. You see, she had only one child, a beautiful daughter named Ifeoluwa, or Ife for short. Ife was her pride and joy, her light in a dark world. But there was a shadow in Tina's heart. Despite her riches, her businesses were beginning to falter, and whispers of her impending downfall spread through the town. Tina feared one thing above all: poverty. She had tasted wealth and vowed never to return to the days of hunger. So when a mysterious stranger told her of a ritual to renew her fortune, Tina's desperation led her to listen. Tina sat on her silk-covered bed, staring out the wide glass window at the bustling streets of Ilorin below. Merchants shouted their wares, children laughed as they played in the dusty lanes, and women gossiped near the well. Despite the lively scene, Tina felt an unshakable emptiness inside her. She had everything she had ever wanted: money, status, and comfort, but the fear of losing it all was beginning to suffocate her. The voices of creditors demanding payment echoed in her mind. "What will people say if they see me begging for food like I once did?" she whispered to herself, her hands trembling. Her maid, Abeni, entered with a tray of food. "Madam, you have not eaten all day. Is everything all right?" "Everything is fine," Tina snapped, though her voice wavered. "Leave me." But everything was not fine, and Tina knew it. Little Ife skipped through the courtyard, her bright laughter echoing off the high walls of the mansion. She clutched a small locket around her neck, a gift from her mother. Ife adored her mother, even if Tina was often distant and preoccupied. "Mama! Look!" Ife called, holding up a flower she had plucked from the garden. "It's for you." Tina forced a smile as she took the flower. "Thank you, Ife. Go and play now." Ife's joy was unshakable. She toured around the courtyard, oblivious to the storm brewing in her mother's heart. For Ife, the world was simple, filled with love and light. But for Tina, every shadow seemed to carry the weight of impending doom. That evening, a messenger arrived at Tina's mansion with a letter. The handwriting was unfamiliar, but the words sent a chill down her spine: "I can solve all your problems. Meet me at the forest edge at midnight. Boba Oro." Tina had heard whispers of Boba Oro, a powerful ritualist who could grant wealth and power. She hesitated. Was she truly desperate enough to seek help from such a man? The weight of her debts pressed heavily on her. With a sigh, she decided she would go. The forest was eerily quiet as Tina approached a small hut lit by a single flickering lantern. Boba Oro sat cross-legged on a mat, his piercing eyes seeming to look straight into her soul. "You seek to keep your wealth," he said without preamble. Tina nodded, her voice barely a whisper. "Yes. What must I do?" Boba Oro's smile was chilling. "To keep what you have, you must give what is most valuable. Bring me the blood of a girl from a wealthy family. Do this, and your riches will grow beyond measure." Tina's heart raced. A girl. But you have 7 days, Boba Oro interrupted. fail, and your wealth will disappear. The days that followed were a blur of anxiety for Tina. She began searching for a suitable girl, discreetly asking her guards and mates to find someone who fit Baba Oro's description. Meanwhile, Ife noticed her mother's growing unease. "Mama, are you alright?" Ife asked one evening, her big, curious eyes searching her mother's face. "I'm fine, my dear," Tina replied, forcing a smile. But inside, her guilt was growing. One fateful night, Ife overheard her mother speaking in hushed tones to one of her guards. "She must be from a rich family," Tina said. "Baba Oro is very clear. We have no choice." Curious and frightened, Ife decided to follow her mother's carriage the next day. She hid in the shadows, watching as her mother visited Baba Oro's shrine. But in a twist of fate, one of the guards mistook Ife for the very girl Tina was searching for. Ife was blindfolded and taken to Baba Oro's shrine. The girl was terrified but too scared to speak. Meanwhile, Tina, unaware of the mistake, prepared herself for the ritual. "Are you ready?" Baba Oro asked, his voice cold. Tina nodded, though her hands trembled. She clutched the knife tightly as the ritual began. Just as Tina raised the blade, Ife's locket fell to the floor. The sound caught her attention. She picked it up, her heart stopping as she read the engraving, "Ifeoluwa." With trembling hands, she tore off the mask. "Ife," she cried, horrified. "No. What have I done?" Baba Oro's laughter echoed in the shrine. "You brought your own child? How poetic. Finish the ritual, or lose everything." Tina refused to harm her daughter. She held Ife close as the locket began to glow faintly. A powerful wind swept through the shrine, and Baba Oro screamed as the dark energy he controlled was pushed back. "This is not possible," he howled. "You've brought something pure into my domain." The locket's light grew brighter, shattering the shrine's walls. Baba Oro vanished in a burst of smoke, his power undone. Tina and Ife escaped the collapsing shrine, but their troubles were far from over. The next morning, Tina's wealth disappeared. Creditors seized her mansion, and she and Ife were left with nothing. For the first time, Tina faced the poverty she had feared for so long. Sitting under the shade of a baobab tree, Tina watched Ife play with other children in the village. Her heart was heavy with guilt. She had nearly sacrificed her only child for wealth, and now they had nothing but the clothes on their backs. Ife, unaware of her mother's dark secret, laughed and ran with the others, her joy untouched by their sudden poverty. Tina whispered to herself, "How do I make this right? How do I atone for what I've done?" She clutched the locket in her hand, feeling its warmth, a reminder of her daughter's purity and the second chance she'd been given. News of Tina's downfall spread quickly through the village. Once admired and envied, she now faced scorn and ridicule. Women whispered behind her back, saying, "See how the mighty have fallen," while others speculated about the cause of her misfortune. Ife overheard some of these conversations. "Mama, why are they saying bad things about us?" she asked one evening. Tina avoided her daughter's questioning eyes. "People will always talk, my dear. Pay them no mind." But deep down, she knew she couldn't run from the consequences of her actions. Unknowns to Tina, Baba Oro's spirit had not been entirely destroyed. Though his power had been diminished, his hatred for Tina burned fiercely. From the shadows, he began to plot his revenge. Using dark forces, he whispered nightmares into her sleep, filling her dreams with visions of doom and despair. "Your daughter is not safe," a deep voice echoed in her dreams. "You cannot escape me, Tina." Tina awoke in a cold sweat, clutching the locket tightly. She knew she had to protect Ife at all cost. Desperate for answers, Tina sought out an elder in the village known for her wisdom, Aya Adoni. The old woman listened as Tina tearfully confessed her story, from her greed to the ritual and her near betrayal of Ife. Aya Adoni shook her head solemnly. Child, you have invited darkness into your life. But all is not lost. The locket your daughter wears is a powerful symbol of love and purity. It saved her once, but its power will not last forever. You must find a way to cleanse yourself of the curse you've brought upon your family. How do I do that? Tina asked, her voice trembling. You must embark on a journey of redemption, the elder replied. Give more than you have taken, and you may yet find peace. Taking Aya Adoni's advice to heart, Tina resolved to change her ways. She decided to give back to the community she had once looked down upon. With Ife by her side, she began helping women at the village well, fetching water and sharing what little food they had. Though it was hard work, Tina found a strange sense of fulfillment in these small acts of kindness. She began to see the faces of the people she had ignored in her days of wealth. Perhaps, she thought, this is where true wealth lies. As the days passed, Ife began to notice the change in her mother. Mama, why are we helping so many people now? She asked one day. Tina knelt before her daughter and took her small hands in her own. Because I made a mistake, Ife. A very big mistake. And now I must make things right. Ife tilted her head, her innocence shining through. But I still love you, Mama. Those words brought tears to Tina's eyes. Ife's love was the one thing she hadn't lost. One night, as Tina and Ife slept, a dark shadow crept into their small hut. Baba Oro's voice filled the room, cold and menacing. You think you can escape me, Tina? The blood price must still be paid. Tina woke with a start, clutching Ife tightly. The locket around Ife's neck glowed faintly, pushing the shadow back. But Baba Oro's laughter lingered in the air. Tina realized that her journey of redemption was far from over. The battle for her soul and her daughter's safety was just beginning. The next day, a traveler arrived in the village. His name was Beo, a wandering herbalist and storyteller. He carried a bag of rare herbs and a wealth of knowledge about the spiritual world. Hearing whispers of Tina's troubles, Beo offered to help. Your locket is powerful, he told her, examining it closely. But it is not enough to protect you from Baba Oro. You must strengthen your spirit and seek allies in the fight against him. Tina was skeptical but agreed to listen. She knew she couldn't face Baba Oro alone. Beo suggested that Tina involve the community in her quest for redemption. Baba Oro thrives on isolation and fear, he explained. But together, people can resist his darkness. Tina began organizing communal gatherings, where villagers shared stories, sang songs, and supported one another. Slowly, the fear that Baba Oro had sown in the village began to dissipate. For the first time in years, Tina felt a sense of hope. Just as things began to improve, Baba Oro returned with a cruel temptation. In a dream, he showed Tina a vision of her former life, the mansion, the jewels, the power. You can have it all back, he whispered. All I ask is one small sacrifice. Tina woke in a panic, the vision fresh in her mind. The law of her old life was strong, but she looked over at Ife, sleeping peacefully beside her, and stilled her resolve. Never again, she vowed. Tina spent her mornings assisting villagers and her nights wrestling with guilt. Every act of kindness felt like a drop in an ocean of wrongs. One evening, she sat by a small fire with Beo, who noticed her distant gaze. You still carry the weight, don't you? Beo asked. I betrayed everything a mother should be, Tina said. Even now, I wonder if I deserve forgiveness. Beo placed a hand on her shoulder. The road to redemption is not easy. But forgiveness starts with forgiving yourself. Those words lingered in Tina's heart, though she wasn't sure if she could accept them yet. One night, Ife woke with a start, her small frame trembling. Mama, she whispered, shaking Tina awake. I saw a man with no face. He said you have to be careful, or we will lose each other forever. Tina's blood ran cold. She held Ife tightly, realizing Baba Oro was trying to manipulate her through her daughter. The locket around Ife's neck glimmered faintly, as if warning her. We won't lose each other, Tina promised, though her voice quivered. I will protect you, no matter what. The villagers began to notice Tina's transformation. Some admired her efforts, while others doubted her sincerity. One day, a woman named Dami confronted her at the well. We all know what you used to be, Dami said. Why should we believe you've changed? Tina paused, her bucket balanced on her hip. You don't have to believe me, she replied. But I will keep helping, no matter what anyone thinks. That is all I can do. Her humility surprised Dami, who softened. Perhaps you've truly learned, she murmured, and others began to see Tina in a new light. Baba Oro, frustrated by Tina's resilience, shifted his focus to Ife. He began planting dark dreams in the child's mind, filling her with fear and doubt. Ife began to wake up crying, her once bright laughter dimmed. Why is this happening? Ife asked, her small hands clutching her locket. Am I bad, Mama? No, my child, Tina said, her heart breaking. You are the best thing in my life. This is my fault, but I will fix it. I promise. Fearing for Ife's safety, Tina sought out Aya Adoni again. The elder listened carefully as Tina recounted Baba Oro's latest attacks. You must be strong, Tina, Aya Adoni said. Baba Oro is desperate, but desperation can make him dangerous. He will not stop until he has what he wants. What do I do? Tina asked, tears streaming down her face. Faith, my child, Aya Adoni replied. And sacrifice. You must be willing to give everything to protect your daughter. Baal, too, sensed Baba Oro's growing power. He feeds on fear, he told Tina. The more afraid you are, the stronger he becomes. You must not let him control your mind. But how can I not be afraid? Tina asked. He threatens my daughter. Focus on the light, Baal said, gesturing to Ife's locket. That locket carries the strength of your love. Let it guide you. Despite her fear, Ife began to show remarkable bravery. One afternoon, while playing with the other children, she found a boy crying because he had lost his toy. Ife comforted him, sharing her own small doll. Ife, why are you always so kind? One of the older children asked. My mama says kindness is the best thing we can give, Ife replied, smiling. Unbeknownst to Ife, her acts of kindness began to weaken Baba Oro's grip on the village. Her pure heart radiated a light that even he could not touch. One stormy night, Baba Oro made his boldest move yet. A shadowy figure appeared at the door of Tina's hut, slamming it open with a gust of cold wind. Ife screamed as the figure lunged toward her, but the locket around her neck blazed with a powerful light, forcing the shadow back. You cannot have her. Tina shouted, standing between the shadow and her daughter. The shadow hissed, retreating, but its presence left a chilling reminder of the danger they faced. Baal suggested performing a ritual of protection to shield Ife and the village from Baba Oro's attacks. The villagers gathered around the fire in the center of the village, singing songs and praying for light to banish the darkness. Tina held Ife close as Baal sprinkled herbs into the flames. This will not end him, he warned, but it will give us time to prepare for the final battle. As the fire roared, Tina felt a small spark of hope reignite in her heart. Baba Oro, enraged by the villagers' unity, appeared in Tina's dream that night. His form was darker and more menacing than ever. You think you've won, he sneered. This is far from over. You cannot escape me, Tina. Tina woke with a start, clutching the locket. She knew Baba Oro was right, this was not over. But for the first time, she felt ready to face him, no matter the cost. Tina woke the next morning with a new resolve. She realized that she couldn't face Baba Oro alone. The strength of the villagers during the protection ritual had shown her that unity could repel even the darkest forces. She gathered everyone at the village square. Baba Oro will not stop until he gets what he wants, she said, her voice steady. But if we stand together, we can defeat him. Will you help me protect my daughter and our village? The crowd murmured in agreement. Beo stepped forward. She's right. Baba Oro thrives on fear and division. Together, we can overcome him. The villagers, emboldened by Tina's sincerity, pledged their support. Under Beo's guidance, the villagers began preparing for the inevitable showdown with Baba Oro. They fortified the boundaries of the village with protective symbols and charms made from herbs, blessed water, and sacred ash. Tina played an active role, helping wherever she could. Though she still felt the weight of her past mistakes, the act of walking alongside her community gave her a sense of purpose. I never thought I'd see the day you'd be helping like this, said Dami with a smile. Neither did I, Tina admitted. But perhaps it's never too late to change. While the villagers walked, Ife began having strange visions. One evening, she told her mother, "Mama, I see a tree, a big one with golden leaves. There's a light at the top, and I feel safe when I see it." Tina shared the vision with Beo, who nodded thoughtfully. "The tree might be a symbol of protection," he said. "It could guide us to the solution." Ife's locket glowed faintly as she described the tree, further confirming its importance. Determined to find the tree, Beo and Tina decided to follow Ife's visions. Leaving the village in the care of the others, they set out early one morning with Ife leading the way. They walked for hours through dense forest, guided only by Ife's instincts. Just as they were about to lose hope, the trees parted to reveal a magnificent sight, a towering tree with golden leaves shimmering in the sunlight. "This is it," Ife said softly, clutching her locket. As they approached the tree, a figure emerged from the shadows, a tall woman with flowing white robes and eyes that sparkled like stars. "Who dares approach the sacred tree?" she asked, her voice both commanding and gentle. "We seek protection from Baba Oro," Tina said, bowing her head. "He threatens my daughter and our village." The woman studied them for a moment before speaking. "The tree's light can protect you, but its power comes with a price. The light of the sacred tree will banish Baba Oro's darkness," the guardian explained. "But to awaken its power, a great sacrifice must be made. You must give up something you hold most dear." Tina's heart sank. She knew what the guardian meant. Ife clutched her mother's hand, her eyes wide with fear. "Mama, don't leave me. I won't," Tina promised, though her voice wavered. There has to be another way. But deep down, she knew the truth. Tina spent the night at the base of the tree, wrestling with her thoughts. She had already almost lost her daughter once because of her selfishness. Could she now give her life to save Ife and the village? Beo sat beside her, sensing her turmoil. "You've already come so far, Tina," he said. "The woman you were would never have considered this. That alone shows your strength." Tina nodded, tears streaming down her face. "If this is what it takes to protect Ife, then I'll do it." At dawn, Tina stood before the sacred tree, ready to make her sacrifice. The guardian appeared, her expression solemn. "You have chosen well," she said. "Place your hand on the tree and speak your truth." Tina placed her trembling hand on the bark. "I give my life so my daughter and my village may live in peace," she whispered. The tree's golden leaves began to glow, and a brilliant light enveloped Tina. Back at the village, Baba Oro launched his final attack, summoning shadows to consume the villagers. But just as his darkness spread, a beam of golden light shot across the sky, striking him down. "No! Baba Oro screamed as the light consumed him, breaking his hold on the village and banishing his darkness forever. The villagers watched in awe as the shadows dissolved, replaced by warmth and light. When the light faded, Tina was gone. But her sacrifice left a lasting mark on the village. The sacred tree's power now protected them, and Baba Oro would never return. Ife, clutching her locket, stood before the tree with tears in her eyes. "Mama saved us," she whispered. The villagers built a shrine around the tree to honor Tina's memory. Though she was gone, her story became a lesson in redemption, courage, and the power of selfless love. The village was quiet in the days following Baba Oro's defeat. The people were still in awe of what had happened, and the golden light of the sacred tree seemed to linger in the air, bringing peace and warmth. Ife, now under the care of Beo and the other villagers, wandered through the village square. Her locket, which had glowed so brightly during the ritual, now seemed ordinary again. She clutched it tightly, feeling the weight of her mother's sacrifice. One evening, Ife approached Beo. "Will Mama ever come back?" she asked, her voice trembling. Beo knelt beside her. "Your mother may not be here with us, but she lives on in the love she showed you, and in the light she brought to the village. She will always be with you, Ife." The village began to thrive in ways it hadn't before. The people, once divided by greed and mistrust, now worked together as a community. They planted crops, repaired homes, and shared their resources. The sacred tree became a symbol of unity and hope. Every week, the villagers would gather beneath its golden leaves to give thanks and reflect on Tina's bravery. Dami, the village herbalist, took it upon herself to teach the children about the tree's power and the importance of selflessness. "The light only shines for those who put others before themselves," she often said. As the months passed, Ife began to grow into a strong and wise young girl. Though she missed her mother deeply, she carried Tina's lessons in her heart. She spent her days helping the villagers, learning from Beo and Dami, and playing with the other children. Her kindness and courage inspired everyone around her, reminding them of Tina's transformation. One day, Ife noticed that her locket glowed faintly whenever she approached the sacred tree. "It's as if Mama is still watching over us," she thought. One fateful night, a strange chill swept through the village. The air grew heavy, and the golden light of the sacred tree dimmed slightly. Beo, sensing trouble, gathered the villagers. "Baba Oro may be gone, but there are other forces in the world that seek to exploit our fears," he warned. "We must remain vigilant." The villagers fortified their homes and strengthened the protective charms around the tree. Ife, feeling a deep connection to the tree, vowed to protect it at all costs. That night, Ife had a vivid dream. She saw her mother standing beneath the sacred tree, surrounded by golden light. Tina smiled at her and spoke softly. "Ife, the light is within you now," she said. "When darkness comes, trust in your heart and the love of the people around you. Together, you will overcome anything." Ife woke with a newfound sense of purpose. She realized that her mother's sacrifice had passed on a part of the sacred tree's power to her. The chill in the air grew stronger in the days that followed. Strange figures were spotted at the edge of the forest, shadowy beings that seemed to dissolve into mist when approached. Beo consulted the village elders. "These shadows are drawn to fear and division, just like Baba Oro's power was. We must stay united, or they will grow stronger." The villagers redoubled their efforts to remain connected and supportive of one another. Ife, though young, became a symbol of hope and resilience for everyone. One stormy night, the shadowy beings launched their attack. They crept into the village, seeking to extinguish the light of the sacred tree. The villagers, armed with blessed water and charms, fought bravely, but the shadows were relentless. As the battle raged, Ife ran to the sacred tree, clutching her glowing locket. She placed her hand on the tree's trunk, just as her mother had done. "Please, Mama," she whispered. help us." The locket's glow grew brighter, and a wave of warmth spread from the tree, pushing back the shadows. Ife felt a surge of energy within her, as if her mother's spirit was guiding her. She stood tall, facing the shadows. "You will not take our light," she shouted. The golden light of the tree burst forth, banishing the shadows and restoring peace to the village. The villagers cheered as the storm cleared and the sacred tree's light shone brighter than ever. The battle against the shadows brought the village even closer together. They realized that their strength lay in their unity and their willingness to support one another. Ife became a beloved figure in the village, her bravery inspiring both young and old. She often visited the sacred tree, feeling her mother's presence and drawing strength from its light. Beo and Dami continued to guide the village, teaching them the importance of love, sacrifice, and community. Years passed, and the story of Tina's sacrifice became a legend in the village. Children grew up hearing tales of the wealthy woman who gave everything to protect her daughter and her people. Ife grew into a wise and compassionate leader, carrying on her mother's legacy. The sacred tree remained a beacon of hope, its golden leaves a reminder of the power of selflessness. One evening, Ife stood beneath the tree, now a young woman. She looked up at its glowing branches and whispered, "Thank you, Mama. I will always honor your love and sacrifice." As the light of the tree shimmered in the twilight, the village thrived, its people forever united by the lessons they had learned. And Tina's spirit, though unseen, watched over them all, her greatest mistake transformed into a lasting legacy of hope and redemption. If this story touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, share it with your friends, and comment below.